Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I am your host, DJMaverick. Today, we have another special guest. We have entrepreneur Alex Rodriguez. Welcome to the pod.
What's up? What's up?
How's it going?
It's going well, man. It's going well. How about yourself?
Doing great. I'm super excited to have you on the pod. Before we start diving into everything, for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. So, name's Alex Rodriguez. Grew up in the south side of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Played sports most of my life growing up.
What sports?
So soccer, I played like from a young cat, and then afterwards I played football.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it was a pretty cool sport.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Santa Fe South.
Santa Fe South.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Were you one of the troublemakers, or were you kind of like into the books? Like, what type of kid were you?
Man, I would say I'm in between. I was like, I definitely like would hang out with people from, I guess, like, the environment, the crowd,
Sure.
but I always stuck to the books. I would still say, like, in a way I was still a little nerdy,
Okay,
like,
that's cool.
Yeah.
What type of stuff were you into as far as like, subject wise? Like, were you like a math guy? Like, what type of subjects did you enjoy?
Man, I always really liked math. Math was real cool. History,
Okay.
and science, like,
Cool.
and weirdly, like on my ACT scores, like, you take like chemistry and all.
Yeah.
I scored pretty good on science. I used to.
Okay.
Yeah, I
cool.
never really pursued like a science degree, so I ended up going to OU to pursue my economics.
Economics, yeah. So tell me what the thought process was behind that. Did you think that you wanted to be in finance? Did you want to run a company? Like, what were you planning to do with that economics degree?
Yeah, I just kind of looked at it more of like an analytical sense. I think it would have helped me in that sense of skills. Growing up, I did a lot of like sales. My first job was going door to door, selling newspaper.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what age are we talking about?
14, man.
Yeah.
It was actually really funny how I got that job. I was walking down my block.
Yeah.
And an excursion pulls over and it's like, "Hey kid, do you want a job?"
That could have been any direction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what kind of job are we talking about here?
Yeah, and
right?
I kind of freaked out, and he was like, "No, here's a little poster.
Yeah.
Tell him about the gig," and give him
Okay.
a call, and I ended up selling newspaper for that summer.
That's cool. So that was that like your first job, or did you have other sort of jobs before then?
Yeah, I would say that's like my first real gig. My brother-in-law had like a landscaping, mowing
Okay.
lawns and
Cool.
doing gardening, so I did that
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Cool. Tell me what it was like as far as like growing up. Did you get into trouble or anything along the way, or?
Man, I wasn't too much of a troublemaker, if I'm being honest, man.
Okay.
I kind of stick to myself. I've always been like, more like laid back, hang out with like my friends and whatnot. But
Cool.
I would say sports kept me busy.
Okay.
One thing I kind of like noticed growing up, like I didn't realize how much sports took from your time. Like every
Yeah.
weekend, it was either a sports tournament, some soccer tournament.
Right.
So yeah, it was.
And all the skills that you learn off the field because of sports, right? So you learn how to be a leader, you learn how to like, follow through, like
Yeah.
how to set up goals and,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff that most people don't think that, hey, you learned that, being in a sport, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I don't think like my mindset would have been the same if I didn't play the sports, I
sports.
did. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's so much times that you're like wanting to stop or for whatever reason you want to
Right.
do,
Yeah.
And it always kind of keeps you that like.
It's always like
persistency.
mind over body in sports,
Yeah,
right?
consistently, bro. Because
Yeah.
I think that's like a big reason of where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like I've always had that mindset since a little kid. Once they kind of engraved that in me with sports, it was
Yeah.
like I kind of just took that everywhere,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what sort of made you want to go to college and do that?
Yeah.
Was there like, what was the drive behind going to college for you?
Man, I would say like I wanted to better myself. I didn't know where, right?
Mhm.
Like, I would say like we grew up in the hood. We didn't really know like what was success. So the
Yeah.
only step I knew was to go to college that I felt that was a guaranteed,
Right.
and it ended up working out for me. I wouldn't, take anything back.
Yeah, because I think nowadays, right, like there's multiple careers for success, right? Like now it's cool to be an entrepreneur. Now
Yeah.
it's cool to like not go to college and do your own thing.
Yeah.
But I would say back in the day, it was always like, if you want to be successful, college is the way out, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad we're breaking that stigma. Like I think we need to be more entrepreneurial, especially like in the Hispanic Latino community.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't think we own enough businesses in America, in Oklahoma, and
Yeah.
this Oklahoma City. Like part of a lot of the part of the communities that we're strongly in, we don't have ownership in.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem. I've noticed that when I was young, I didn't understand like why we were workers and other people were owners. I didn't understand that. It never like clicked to me.
Right. And it's just really a change of mindset, right? Like you're working just as hard, probably, if not maybe even less, but you're working for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's just a change of mindset of being an entrepreneur versus a worker.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So tell me about your OU experience. How did that go? Right. You're going, kid from the South Side, OKC. All of a sudden you're in Norman, you're in a big school. What was that like?
Man, that was cool. I enjoyed it. I think like I connected and I learned my mind expanded by the people I met.
Okay.
Perspectives that I met, things that I was introduced to, and I think that was one of the biggest thing I gained was like expanding of the way I thought and just looking at things a different way. I think growing up in the South Side, I think we're very like, or I was very one mind. I hung out with people that were very similar minded.
Yeah.
And I never been in a place where it challenged my mind like that. So I think it was a
see.
good place for me.
Yeah, that's a great point. When I look back at my college experience, I kind of see that almost like the network and the people I met are just as valuable, if not as more valuable than the degree, right?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. Like network has definitely been a strong, strong thing that I believe in.
Yeah.
It's like some of the same things that got you here. It's like hard work and networking, it's
right.
But yeah.
What got you into the frat? I know you were part of a frat. Tell me a little bit behind your frat and how you met those guys.
Yeah. Shout out to the frat.
There you go.
Yeah, man. As a high school, I went to. Shout out to the homie Juan.
Okay.
His brother Willie. It was on your podcast.
Yeah. Shout out to Willie.
Yeah, shout out to Willie too. I was introduced to him at a young age in high school, and I saw that they were doing positive things. And I just wanted to guide myself around people who were just trying to push for a positive thing in our environment, in our place. So yeah, man, I think that's what kind of drove me at first to kind of join OD5, and then, there was obviously the socialness. It was a cool a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a positive thing.
But you already knew sort of other people at OU. You had friends there, so there wasn't really a need to develop just because of friendship as far as the frat's concerned, or what?
Yeah. So I met Danny Chinchilla again. Just shouting out names
cool.
now.
Dropping names left and right.
Yeah. I met Danny, man. I went to breakfast with him just to talk to him about college. More just breaking it down. We're first generation. None of my family had ever gone to college, so it was like, hey, dude, like, what's college like? Is OU like right for me? I always heard like it's too big for coming from Santa Fe, go to UCO or go to OCCC. Now, nothing wrong with that, right? But it was always recommended, and so I wanted to ask somebody that came from the same environment, like, what is it like to go to OU? And he just kind of broke things down for me, and I liked the way he carried himself.
Cool.
So I was like, I want to be part of those guys.
Yeah, that's awesome that you had that sort of that connection and that person to reach out to, right? Because oftentimes, you're growing up and you don't really have anybody to reach out or, almost be like a role model, right? Like, so that was cool that you had that person there. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I think that was like also what took me to OU was like the community. I felt like the community that was going to be there for me was going to be a positive one around me.
Okay.
So for that reason, it was like OU was the right choice. It made sense for me.
Got it. Was it always economics since like day one? You're like, no,
it wasn't.
What
man.
was it?
So I started as marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was always business. Because I did sales, I thought, marketing.
Yeah.
Right. But I noticed that my weak point was like analytical, right? Like knowing the graphs, like analyzing the sales.
Right.
So I was like, I don't need to go to school for my strong set. I need to strengthen my weak sets, So I think it helped me a lot, like notice graphs and how like notice patterns. The way that economics, what they kind of try to teach you is just analyze things, right? So like analyze scenarios and then break it down. So I think in that way, it helped me out in the long run. Right?
Got it. Okay. Cool. I like that. So most people would have said like, I'm good at this, I'm going to do that. But you kind of said, I'm already good at this, I'm going to sharpen, myself even more. So that's cool. Did you have internships along the way, like with the economics degree, or did you try sort of like any career path there?
Man, I want to back trace because I'm honest, because I did want to analyze more, but I wasn't doing too hot in school either.
Okay.
So like, in order to get a price, you got to have like a certain GPA to get into like the business school.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't at the criteria, so it was almost like doors opened up for me when I did switch because
really?
Yeah, I went to economics and I started getting like you just mentioned internship. Like I started getting more I I got more people reaching out to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was. I mean, not that marketing or economics is really different, but
Right.
I guess the skills that I had, so, but yeah, man, I didn't really intern at any place in college, really. Most of the summers I just work, because most internships don't pay, man.
Right, right. So you're trying to save up money for like room and board, for books or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. And it's tough, man, when like, you're not getting much help, so you got to push it on yourself, so I was just working most summers,
Okay. So how did you know that, hey, when I get out of this economics degree is definitely going to be what I want to do? Like I'm going to get a career that, I'm going to enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, man, I got into cannabis, man, because, this is what I wanted to do. When there was a moment in college where I was like, I want to get into, cannabis got legal when I was a junior or senior in college.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, I need to get into this sector. Like, I want to work in cannabis. I knew that was something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know how the doors were going to open for me or anything. But I kind of got an internship, but it was a job because they framed it as an intern. But I ended up working in Colorado for the hemp industry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was actually working for a company called Canopy. If you actually Google that up, they're the largest, or if not one of the largest producers in Canada. They had bought a lot of land in the U.S. and it was like their first expansion plan.
So they're kind of like a wholesaler to everybody else, or what?
I think they were producing for like oil. So yeah, I think they would grow like the plant, extract the oil, and then like sell it to anybody who wanted to buy it, right? Because there's a demand for like the Delta 8 and all the cannabinoids in it, So we were growing more for oil and not for actual flower.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first experience, man. And, it was funny because I actually got, the guy was kind of racist, going into like job site. Yeah, because we worked in like the hemp and there was, he fired a lot of us who were like colored, right? Or minorities. And so he was like, he wanted us to kind of ask for our jobs back after moving. I moved 8 hours from here. He kind of wanted us to go and be like, hey, can we get our job back? We just drove 8 hours out here, like, So a lot of people did ask for their job. A couple people did. He fired us like 5 of us at a time.
So you show up and then things don't work out, and you're like, I'm stuck in Colorado. So what did you do?
I came back, man. I came back to Oklahoma City. I ended up working for a flooring company.
Okay.
I feel like in a little bit I used my economics there. I mean, I was an operations manager there.
Yeah.
So what we did is just we installed carpeting and like flooring to apartments.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, man, and it was a gig I didn't enjoy. Like at that moment, I was making decent money, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right, right. That's important too, right? Because a lot of people just think about the money, but it also matters how you make your money, right?
Yeah,
You got to have some passion there, I think. Right?
Yeah, man, and being fired there and coming back in Oklahoma, I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me working, in the current market. I was dumbfounded because previously, right before things were legal, it was a minority majority market,
really?
Like right, okay. Like so to me I was like, why is nobody that looks like me working? Even the counters, or am I seeing out there? So I was trying to find a way to get into the cannabis industry, and I did it, man, by I offered and I shot an Instagram message to
oh homie. Really, like just like out of the blue. Yeah,
man, like it was I was one night, man, I like people, some dude told me this yesterday. He's like, when you're bored at night, DM your favorite, like the people you want to like talk to. Like, if you're ever bored at night, go ahead and do it. And I didn't hear that then, but I could see that paying off because that dude DM me. He was in Oklahoma City. Little did I did know, but I didn't know that he was gonna. I didn't know where he was at.
Sure.
And I asked him if I could just work there, man, for free. Like I would do.
So you said for free?
Yeah, for free,
I just want to learn.
Yeah, I just want to. Yeah, exactly, because I enjoyed what cannabis had brought into my life. It brought good, like it would bring good people, around me. I base a lot of my life based on energy and just how people become attracted.
Got it. So before we get too deep into this, we were talking off mic.
Yeah.
And I heard that you were against smoking. Right, initially.
Oh yeah. You're right.
So how all of a sudden this becomes like your career, like your biggest like passion, but initially you were against like smoking altogether, right?
You're right, man. So growing up, there's people around, people around drugs, and it's not a positive. it wasn't a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
Like while people did it, it was never really encouraged, and
Right.
for that reason, it did retract me from it. But like I said, I played sports, man.
Okay.
I didn't want to screw up. That was like
Yeah.
my biggest thing. It was like I knew my parents were, you know, and like where we came from. You know, we didn't have much money, so like
Right.
I didn't want to like sacrifice.
Yeah, 1000%, right?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to provide you the best life, and then if you screw up or something, like messing around, right?
Yeah.
Like you definitely don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, yeah, man, and it was not like I would say like I had a cousin, and he, you know, we all smoke now, and everybody, you know, our parents and all are good.
Yeah.
And he was my older cousin by a year, and he didn't let me smoke. It was
Okay.
it was almost him. Like he was the he liked to do the bad stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he liked to go do vagancias. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, I was more like, and he would take care of me. He was like, nah, that's not don't smoke weed.
Right. Right.
And that kind of like people around me kept telling me that, so I didn't. You know,
Yeah.
they were like, "You're straight. Just keep going at it." Like, you know, for some reason, it was almost like, "You got it. You're smart, bro. Like, stay away from it." You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I would say like going a little bit back to like going to OU and like going to like all of these environments where I felt like I was different. It almost made me feel like I was more from the hood. Like no matter where.
Why do you say that?
Because it's like surrounded by people who are different, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times I felt judged in the classes that I was in.
Yeah.
Not that I resort to that, but I didn't start really smoking until college. So, you know, things happened, you know, like people go to hard things in college and
Sure.
somehow you end up smoking, man, and it changed my life. Like it helped me get a different perspective.
Yeah.
It put me around people that I was like, oh, like these aren't bad people.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, cannabis had more of a positive impact now in my life.
That's interesting. And then you were talking about sort of like the you believe in attraction, right? And
Yeah.
sort of the vibes and people. So you think that sort of like started to change for you too?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
On a weird night of watching Star Wars, you know,
Yeah.
I don't like Star Wars, so
I have to confess, I've never watched any of the Star Wars ever.
dude, don't, because like,
No.
I'm not saying that's the reason I smoked weed, bro, but like, it was so boring.
Yeah.
We left that movie, we left that theater, and we're like, dude, we gotta go smoke some weed, because you know, like it's so
You're
weird.
just like bored.
Yeah, it was so weird stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like it was, you know, when I weird thing like people who have consumed cannabis, like the first
Yeah.
time I smoked, I didn't get high or anything, and so it was like something I, you know, boom, we let to the side, kept doing my thing.
Okay.
But you know, I just growing up, I started being more introduced to it, and it was
Yeah.
something I liked. That when I really like enjoyed it, it kind of makes sense in my life. I ended up trying to like, you know, I got more touch to myself, to nature. Like,
Yeah.
I started to question like maybe even like my eating habits, like working out, like things that I didn't think it was gonna bring up in my life.
Really?
You know, like
Okay.
I thought it was like, you know, when I grew up, it was all like, oh, like people who are gangsters or people who are
Right.
bad or, you know, do it, you know, and it
Yeah.
was almost like, I didn't feel like that. I was like, yo, this is so positive. Like,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. We were also talking about how, like, recently you sort of started a partnership, right, with someone that you met in college. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit of how you met that person and then kind of like what you got started with him.
yeah, man. So, man, I know, so Juice and Andres, they went to UCO. They're also frat brothers, you know? So,
Okay.
yeah, man. And we met, and it was never like, I never thought that them and I would have a business together.
Yeah.
You know, but because we met and we both kind of knew we had we thought good of each other, we thought positive of each other, and it just ended up working out. We again through energy, bro. We met at a dispensary that my homegirl owned,
Okay.
and we just met there. We ended up talking. They were like, "Yo, like, I was selling cannabis, so when I came back after I got the job from the flooring,
Yeah.
I started as a trimmer, watered plants. I ended up selling flour for that garden
Okay.
for a while, and I would go around stores for the last year and a half or two. And
So you're kind of like a rep type
yeah.
person?
yeah, I was
or-
business
yeah.
to business, as they
Oh, okay.
professionally call it.
Okay.
You know.
All right.
And I met them there. I met him at the shop, and
Okay.
one dude was working there. That's now my partner, Andres. And then Juice was visiting, giving them, dropping them off food. 'Cause they're
Okay.
homies. You know, they're one's a founder at UCO, and the other one's a charter. So, yeah, man, we met. We were like, we talked about it, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, let's see where this goes. You know, let's put money together and like let's work something." And man, we ended up making it come true. Like this started, man, like last June. Like we started talking. We didn't signed our lease until October.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we signed a lease in
So
October.
there was like a lot of planning and a lot of stuff beforehand, or what sort of led that time frame?
Yeah, we were actually gonna do a garden first. We were gonna grow.
Okay.
But my friend, it was an opportunity again, like how things are guided.
Mm-hmm.
Had closed down a dispensary earlier, and we just took a opportunity and decided to open it up again. You know,
Got it. Okay.
and it was just, you know, I've been smoking cannabis for a while, so like I saw that stores lacked the knowledge, people who were authentic.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of stores in the dispensary industry aren't connected. They're not owner operated.
Yeah.
And I wanted to include things that I wanted to go to the store with. You know, like if I were to go to the stores, like what would I want to do?
Okay.
So I approached it with that mentality. You know.
Got it. So when I just drive around just randomly in the city, it seems like it's super saturated. There's
Yeah.
like one everywhere. So kind of explain like what's the mentality there? Like do they just hope that one day it's going to become recreational and then they just happen to be in the right location, right? It's always about location, location,
Yeah.
location. Is that kind of what the game plan is, or what are your thoughts? Do you think it's saturated or maybe not?
No, it's definitely saturated. But I don't know what their plan is. You know, I think a lot of people just want to make money. You know, I think that's the problem with the industry right now is that a lot of people are in it just for the money.
Okay.
You know, but I think it will go recreational in Oklahoma. I don't think it got enough signatures of what they say this year.
Yeah.
But the only way it can get approved as of rec would be as of February if it gets approved by a certain process, or just next year until we go again getting signatures.
Okay. All right. So if I were to, just randomly ask you, hey, why should I go to your location versus all these thousands of other locations?
Yeah.
What have been your pitch? Give me your elevator pitch there.
I got you.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Let's
man.
hear it.
I'm a salesman. Come on, my nature.
I know, right?
Nah, man. So we at our store we differentiate ourselves. Everything that all our flour we have is grown in soil. It's organic, so it's amended with dry amendments.
Okay.
When you smoke cannabis, there's some when it has nutrients. By that I mean like anything that's really not organic, anything that's
So like fertilizers or something?
Yeah, just
Okay.
not natural fertilizers. You know, anything has like man, I can't even
Like
say.
nitrogen
Yeah,
or
like
something?
like
or-
Athena Ag. Like there's like brands like Athena Ag, which they're
Okay.
mostly dilute. Like let's say if they want potassium, they'll dilute it with like certain things, and they
Oh, okay.
extract it, and it's just not naturally grabbed. You know, like they didn't manufacture it naturally. So a lot of it has the taste still in the flour in their product. And
Okay.
so I noticed that, man. So that's kind of where I feel like my experience plays in, is that like I noticed a lot of the flour that was being grown and sold in stores didn't taste good. You know,
I
I know
see.
that's a weird like a phrase for people who haven't smoked
Right.
weed, but
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you think about like vegetables or whatever, you've
Exactly.
got organic vegetables and you've got non-organic, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely think like it tastes different, man. It just the experience you have, even with cannabis, there's a fuller body experience or mental experience, whatever kind of you feel in that variety in that strain.
Yeah.
But that's I would say that's different, man. All of our stuff is really owned by families. Like it's a small. But I
Okay.
tell people it's a room probably grown in the size of this room, and it's hand watered, so it's looked at every day.
Okay.
If you look at our bud too, it doesn't look. The texture's nice. It's not dry. I hold it in jars, so you can see. You know, it's well hold. I don't use any plastic in any of like the stores. So
Okay.
I'd like try to be particular. You know, and
Yeah, it sounds like it.
yeah, and I try to tint to the connoisseurs, people who care about what they're consuming. I mean, because it's going in our lungs. You know, and I know like our food, like our stomach breaks down. You know,
Right.
food, but our lungs are even a little more delicate.
Yeah.
You know, they can't break down.
Critical, right? Like you can't live without your lungs, right? Like we need them. So
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts about like the celebrity brands, right? So like there for a while it seemed like everybody, right? Like Snoop, like all these
Yeah.
people had like Exhibit, like they just had like their celebrity. Like do you think they were just in it for the money, or what are your thoughts around that?
Man, I think some of them have been in the game for a while. You know, I think like some of them have deserve a spot or a piece of the pie. You know,
Okay.
and that's kind of feel like where I'm coming from too. Like I think that they deserve some. They want some money, right? Like anybody, if you work for something, you want to get out of it. But
Sure.
I think there's some people who the game or like the industry or the business, they deserve to be in it. You know, I think they
Yeah.
deserve to have a piece of the pie. And people like, let's say Snoop, he can, he can rock.
Yeah.
You know,
He's definitely a connoisseur, right?
yeah. He's
Yeah.
known to the game, and like, man, there's that Guy Fury. You know, the chef guy.
Yeah, the guy with the spiky
Yeah,
hair. Yeah.
yeah. That guy's from Humboldt. He's from Humboldt, California.
Okay.
He's from North Cal, like in the mountains, what they call it.
Yeah.
And he's definitely like a connoisseur.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's like a couple cats out there, that definitely do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who would you say, as far as like celebrities go, are doing kind of like the right thing in the right way, in your opinion?
Man, who's doing it well?
I know Cheech and Chong, they were involved, right? Like,
Man,
there's a
they're doing
bunch of
thing,
people,
but
right?
I would say like some people have sold out to corporate. Some people have like decided to go to corporate, like go to big companies with big cash because what's happening a lot, man, is that these companies are like lowballing. They're gonna come in and just give it better prices than what the mom and pop shop can.
Okay.
And their interest isn't always in the best, And so people, I'm not exactly sure who Cheech and Chong has partnered up with.
Yeah.
But I know sometimes they haven't partnered always with the best people who have the patient's best interest.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, who do you want to partner with? That's a big question in this industry right now. It's like, who are you partnering with, and who are you making, good decisions with? So.
Got it. So do you think that as far as like your consumers, your clients, that they are educated enough to sort of know the difference and know who's doing it right, who's not doing it right? Or do you feel like part of your sort of social media and all that needs to also educate?
Man, I think that's also part of my job. My job is to educate the consumer, but social media is educating them.
Okay.
And I think the taste buds do, man. When you smoke something that, there's a different taste. I think they themselves know it. The experience they have with what they're smoking, it gives it to them. So like they themselves know, man. And when I found out like this cannabis that I was growing organically, I noticed the difference. Like the way it felt afterwards, everything was just different, and I didn't want to go back. I knew that it was something I wanted to provide to people, man, because cannabis brought a lot of positivity in my life. Like it showed me a lot of things that I wasn't open-minded to. It changed. I didn't used to grow my hair long,
Oh, really?
I used to be very like, I wanted to do this,
Okay.
So it allowed me to change my perspective on how I wanted to like kind of carry myself and what I want to really do my whole life. Cause I think really at the end of the day, man, now I kind of want to be a farmer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to like grow some food and some land and like.
So you just want to be like off the grid type thing or what?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Somewhat. Like I'd like to kind of be able to, obviously stack up some bread, but like decide to leave and kind of just grow some food and grow for others and like do my thing and space out,
That's
because
cool.
I don't know, man. I think the world is a weird place, and
definitely.
I think when you farm your own food, you're a little more sustainable to yourself, and then you've invested more in yourself and in your family, and you got to teach other people to like farm too, and there is no Sundays. What I learned about farming, it's like there's no Sundays, there's no weekends.
Always work, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember going through your IG. There was a post where you sort of linked up with the chef, right?
Yeah.
So tell me sort of the story behind that Instagram post and what it means as far as like where you're headed in the future.
Yeah, man. So I met him through a friend down in college, and he owned the meatball house at the time. Got it. And we would do events there after night. We'd do parties.
Oh, so you did like OD5 parties?
Yeah,
at the place,
exactly. We'd do parties, man, and we were known for like OD5 parties and stuff like that. So people would come, and I got linked in with him, and then after that, man, he decided to open 3 restaurants down here in Deep Deuce area. Okay. And there's called the Black Walnut and Gray Sweater.
Okay. Yeah, those are real fancy places, right?
Yeah,
like they're prestigious.
Yeah,
right?
man, real nice. Steak, potatoes, like, and even like the Gray Sweaters is more like fancy,
upscale,
just a 9-course dinner.
Yeah,
and,
that's cool.
It serves it all to yourself. So
okay, so what's sort of like you're going to start sort of partnership with him, or where's that headed?
Man, who knows? Like I think one day we will. Like it's only with time. Again, like energy guides everything, so I know with time, like we might do some. We might even do like a cannabis infused dinner, or we might end up doing a restaurant. Because one day, man, I want to open a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
All right, so tell me about that.
Yeah, man.
You can't just slide that in. I just like, by the way.
Because but I do, man. I have a vision that I want to do, man. Like I I want to empower people, and I want to let people know, like, you just gotta like want to do it, and then like just go at it. But I want to do it kind of like, you know, like I kind of get mad like Chipotle. You know, like they doing their thing, but are they really brown owned?
Right.
You know, like they're taking our food culture and just kind of capitalizing.
And then people that don't know think that that's a true representation of what the food is like, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's not, right? It's like Tex-Mex.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong,
it's not Mexican.
I like Chipotle.
Yeah, it's good,
like,
but it's
good.
not Mexican food, right?
It's not even that, man. If it's Mexican food, but if it was Mexican owned, like I wouldn't. That's kind of where I feel like things start. You know, it's like, who's gaining from whatever you're doing?
Right.
And I think that's a big question that we're not asking ourselves, because I think that allows us to keep staying at the bottom, man. Like, we need to have ownership. We need to give people management. You know, we gotta give people, like, we gotta prosper. You know, and that's kind of one of the style of restaurant I want to open. Kind of like a Chipotle. I want to compete with, like, I want to have like you know, they have the chicken in front of you, they cook it, they cut it, and you want a burrito. Like, I want to have 5 selections and very minimalistic in a way. Yeah. Very simple and just kind of like, let's go. Like, because I think that's
like
what
quality ingredients. Is that kind of what you're after, or what?
I would say, like, yes and no. Like, I would say I want everything cooked, you know, there, but I kind of want it very like there's similar style with just better seasoning. Like, really, a lot of the food just lacks seasoning. Right. Like, if we all get the chicken maybe from the same place, but like, man, just give us some. That is some salt. Put some pepper. Put some jalapenos on there. You know. Right. So you know, I just want to give a little bit of a twist, and I want to partner with people who look like me, because it's our food. You know.
Definitely.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Man.
So we are getting the mark here that we're almost out of time, because we're in a time crunch today.
Nah, for sure.
But we definitely have to invite you back when we have more time to sit down and discuss everything. Before we wrap it up, I always ask my guests to tell me something about themselves that most people don't know about them. So I'm gonna put you on the spot to share something. Like,
I think you kind of mentioned, was it like that alternative rock, kind of like psychedelic rock? Type? Yeah, like psychedelic rock. So like, big brand is like Khruangbin. Khruangbin is lit. I just recently came to Oklahoma City. I actually took pictures with them and was able to give them some of the cannabis grown by us. That's cool. Interwave. They're full. Son hispanos, son mexicanos. Cool. Ground for California, LA. They got they're lit, you know. That's awesome. So cool. I have a cool little taste of music. FKJ, I'll be going to see him in Kansas City. I don't know if you know FKJ. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, okay, man. Cool. I think we need to have you back just to discuss your playlist alone. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Okay. Appreciate you for having me, man. And just shout out to my dispensary, Kush Hills. It's our Northwest 63rd. 300 Northwest 63rd. It's right off of the I-35 and 63rd exit. Okay, kind of like close to Chesapeake. Is that? Yeah. So if you're going, it's like really right next to Chesapeake. It's right. If you're going to Trader Joe's or going to any of that area, I'm 2 minutes away from that. And we'll be having a taco truck, a food truck, at Retoño. Yeah. They'll be posted up permanently at our spot as of next week. So awesome. We're doing plug in your socials one more time. So if people want to find you, sort of keep up with what you're up to, where can people find you? Yeah. So my Instagram is BravoBoy87. Okay. And then the dispensaries is Kush Hills 405. Yeah. So just that on Instagram or on Facebook. Yeah, so just find us there, man, and, you know. Cool. All right, well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're super busy. We sort of had to rush through this, but we definitely want to invite you back, especially if you got like new projects. You know, you're talking about this restaurant, maybe when you got that going or whatever. Hey, you'll see, man. We'll definitely be doing it. But appreciate you for having me, man, and thank you for giving me, you know, a little platform for a bit, man. And I thank you for talking, man. I know we talked for a while, so I was glad to do this. Definitely, man. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The super talented Alex Rodriguez on the Maverick podcast. Keep grinding, because in the dream we trust. Go.